Hola, profe Laura aquí, and welcome to Fortnite in Español. Today, we are just going to see some different words that we have seen in a previous class. So, we recently saw the traditional pronouns. So, in case you don't remember, pronouns in English are the words I, you, he, she, it, we, they, and then there's a you plural, kind of like you all, that some people use in the southern US. So these are the words that we are seeing in Spanish. Okay, so I'm going to cover up this side over here so you do not see the answers. All right, so as always, if you would like, you can watch the video, listen to my pronunciation, and if you need to, you can pause it, repeat the pronunciation several times, or you can, rewind the video and listen to a part again if you're not sure about something. So first we'll start with I. This is pretty easy. I in Spanish is just yo. Yo. Next is you. And there are actually two words for you. There is tú and there is usted. So let's start with the first one. Tú. And then the second one is usted. Usted. All right. So tú is informal. That just means that this is the word that you would use with people who you are familiar with. So people you would maybe use their first name with them instead of saying like Mr. or Mrs. or sir or whatever. And then usted is formal. So that means you would use usted with people that you don't really know, people you would not call by their first name, or maybe you're just not familiar with them, or also if you're trying to be respectful, so maybe like your teachers or someone you really respect. Usted. All right. Next is he. It is super easy, only two letters. El. El. And then she is so similar to he. Ella. Ella. Okay. And remember when we reviewed the alphabet, we saw that a double L is pronounced like a Y. Okay. So it's not Ella, it's ella. Ella. And it does exist in Español. It's not used quite as much, but it does exist. It is ello. Ello. Okay. You won't really see it a whole lot, but it's good to just be aware that it exists. Next is we, and this is the longest one, and understandably, it's a little more difficult to remember sometimes. Nosotros. Nosotros. Okay. Or it could also be nosotras. Nosotras. Okay. So you'll notice we have os on one side, and then we have as on the other side. And this is just to show if something is feminine or masculine. So we're going to use a masculine ending. That's the green one. So that's going to be if you have a group of all masculine people with you or a mix of masculine and feminine people. And then nosotras, so with the A in it, that's going to be if it's a group of only feminine people or female people. Okay. All right, so that's we. Nosotros or nosotras. Next is they, and this also has two options because it also has masculine and feminine. So I'll underline those two. So we could say ellos, that's masculine, ellos, or we could say ellas, that's feminine, ellas. And then our last one is ustedes, and that just means you, it's plural, so kind of like you all. Ustedes. Okay, so these are all of our traditional pronouns here in Spanish. There are a few more, but these are the most important ones. So these are the ones we're going to focus on in our time together. All right. So let's say you want to try to use some of these pronouns. I'm going to give you a very easy question to practice. So we're going to do usted and tú. So we're going to be using you for this particular example. So, ¿de dónde? It's like, where from? So we're going to ask, where are you from? So, ¿de dónde es? So, ¿de dónde es usted? All right, and this is formal. Remember? So people you don't know as well. So that just means, where are you from? Okay. And we'll do the one with tú, the informal one in just a moment, but I'm going to first tell you how to answer this question. So in English, normally we would say, I'm from, or I am from, whichever you prefer, and then the place. Okay. So in Español, in Spanish, we're going to say, yo soy de, and those three words just mean I am from, and then wherever you are from. Okay. And if we're talking in class, remember, we don't share our specific addresses or any super private information like that. You can say your state or your country. So I could say, yo soy de Arkansas, or yo soy de, if you want to say the US, los Estados Unidos. Okay. If you're from Canada, you could say, yo soy de Canada. We just need an accent on the end. So I'm from Canada. Okay. So you could just say, yo soy de, and then just wherever you are from. So that would be if you're asking, ¿de dónde es usted? That would be formal. So if we want to make it informal, we do need to change this slightly. Okay. So if you want to make it informal, we're going to say, ¿de dónde eres tú? Because remember, tú is informal. ¿De dónde eres tú? All right. And you could say, yo soy de, and then wherever. So if you like, this would be a good part to pause the video for a moment and practice this question and the answer. ¿De dónde eres tú? ¿De dónde es usted? And then practicing yo soy de. And I mean, you could make up all kinds of crazy things. You could pretend you're someone, one of the skins in Fortnite, and you could make up where they're from. You could do that too. So that's a really basic question and answer you can use to practice these pronouns. Okay, so we could also ask, how are you? So let's start with, again, formal. ¿Cómo está usted? And this just means, how are you? Again, remember that usted, this is formal, so people that you maybe don't know very well, or you're just trying to be respectful. You respect this person. All right. And we have seen in previous classes how to answer ¿Cómo estás? This is pretty much the same thing. So yo estoy, and then however you are. Okay. So yo estoy bien, I'm fine. Yo estoy mal, I'm not fine. Yo estoy feliz, I am happy. Any of those answers would be 100% correct. Okay. So let's say we want to ask, how are you? And this is someone that you know, you're on a first name basis. Take a moment, think about it. How would you say, how are you? All right. So I hope that you said something to the effect of, ¿Cómo estás tú? How are you? Okay. And this is informal. Now, you may have noticed that when I ask this question, I usually just ask, ¿Cómo estás? We'll talk a bit more about some of these verbs later. But when you use verbs in Spanish, in some cases, some instances, you do not have to use the pronoun. Okay, so that's why when I see everyone in class, I'm like, hey, ¿cómo estás? Okay, it's okay that I did not say, ¿cómo estás tú? That's okay. You can say, ¿cómo estás tú? Or you can just say, ¿cómo estás? That's perfectly fine. All right. So since I said that, you might be thinking, well, what about the answer? Do I have to say yo estoy bien every single time? And the answer is no, you do not. Okay. So you could say yo estoy bien, or you could just say estoy bien, just the verb. And the reason for this is with certain pronouns, um, like estás, estoy, these pronouns are always related to certain words. So it's not going to be something that the person you're talking to is going to get confused about. So if you just hear ¿cómo estás?, they know that you are asking them, how are you? And they also know that if you say estoy bien, you're talking about I am fine and not anybody else. Okay. But again, we will see some more pronouns and we can talk about that later. But these are some handy things to know while we are using these pronouns and these particular verbs for questions and answers. All right, so we will stop there for our review. I hope that was helpful. ¿Cómo estás? I hope you are fine. And nos vemos en otra clase. I'll see you in our next class.